I'm Kieran. For most of my adult life, I believed in second chances and clean slates, until I learned that even the person sleeping next to you could reopen a wound you spent years trying to stitch closed. Tonight was supposed to be our 10th anniversary, a milestone that, in any other marriage, would have meant celebration. But as I stared at the mirror in our bedroom, adjusting my tie for the third time, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was the only one truly invested in making tonight about us. Camilla had picked the restaurant, a small Italian place on 6th, the same one where I'd proposed, with a ring tucked into a napkin fold. Back then, I felt like a man on the cusp of a perfect future. A wife I adored, a job that challenged me, a city that felt like home tonight, though. The same table, the same flickering candles. It all felt like a stage I'd been forced to step back onto, after a decade of rehearsing lines that no longer fit. I had spent the afternoon reviewing a load calculation for a pedestrian bridge renovation. Numbers. Never lied to me. Steel tension, compression, load capacity, everything had a formula, a process, an expected outcome. Marriage, not so much. Camilla had been distant all week, but I brushed it off as work stress. Her design firm had landed a big contract, and late nights had become the norm. But now, as I knotted my tie into place, the weight of all the unsaid things between us pressed on my chest. We'd agreed on no gifts. Just dinner. A chance to be together. Yet as I scanned the text messages on my phone, none from her, I wondered if I'd made a mistake. I slipped my phone into my pocket, grabbed the car keys, and headed downstairs. The restaurant's warm glow cut through the evening drizzle, and for a moment, I let myself believe that tonight would be like old times. Maybe the past was a door that could stay closed. I was seated at our table, the same one from our engagement night. The hostess had even placed a small candle in the center, its light trembling in the draft from the door. I ordered a glass of wine, and waited, and waited. The minutes felt like hours. Each tick of the clock pulled me further from the man I'd tried to become since everything fell apart. Camilla arrived late. Her hair was pulled back in a way that made her look younger, more carefree. She smiled, a practiced smile I'd come to recognize, the one she used when she was trying to hide something. I stood to greet her, and she pressed a quick kiss to my cheek, like we were business partners rather than husband and wife. "Sorry, I'm late," she said, slipping into her seat. "Traffic was a mess. I didn't buy it. I didn't say anything, though. Just took my seat and tried to focus on the menu." She ordered bruschetta and a glass of white wine. I went for the rigatoni with sausage, our old favorite. We made small talk about her project, about my bridge, about the anniversary card she left on my nightstand that morning. 5 lines of generic affection that felt more like a placeholder than a promise. And then she did it. She said his name. "Silas called me today," she said, her voice soft, like she was telling me the weather. The fork paused in my hand. "Silas," I echoed, each letter a weight in my chest. She nodded. "Yeah, he's in town. He asked if we could talk." I felt my voice go thin and sharp. After what he did? After he destroyed everything I worked for? Camilla's eyes darted to the tablecloth, her fingers toying with the edge of her napkin. "It's been years, Kieran. Maybe it's time to let it go, for your own sake." My pulse pounded. "Let it go?" I whispered. "He cost me my career, my reputation. You want me to forgive him over dinner and a handshake?" She reached across the table, her hand trembling as it landed on mine. "I'm not saying you have to forgive him," she said. "Just maybe talk to him. For closure." I pulled my hand away, the contact burning like a brand. "Closure? The only closure I want from Silas is a confession," she sighed, her eyes heavy. I don't want us to carry this anymore. It's our anniversary, Kieran. Can't we try to move forward? I stared at her, a bitter laugh rising in my throat. Move forward? I spent years crawling out of the wreckage he left me in, and you want me to sit down with him, like it's some kind of family reunion. Her lips pressed into a line, and for a moment, I thought she'd drop it. She nodded, her voice small. Okay, I understand. But I saw it. Something behind her eyes, a flicker of resolve that didn't match her words. I leaned back, my appetite gone. The candle between us flickered, casting shadows on the white tablecloth. We didn't speak much after that. The plates came and went. The wine ran dry. I paid the bill and walked her to the car, her hand cool and uncertain in mine. Happy anniversary, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Yeah, I said, my voice hollow. Happy anniversary. As I drove home, the rain drummed on the windshield like a memory I couldn't outrun. Silas. The name alone was enough to twist the past into the present, to turn tonight from celebration to reckoning. I parked outside our house. The lights were off. Camilla hadn't even waited for me. I sat in the car for a long time, staring at the empty seat beside me, and I thought about the man I'd been before Silas, the man I tried to become. After, I thought about trust and betrayal, about the lies we tell ourselves to survive. I thought about the woman I'd married and the brother who'd ruined me. Second chances. Clean slates. I wasn't sure either existed anymore. Us. I didn't know then that she was fighting for something else entirely. That night, I went to bed with a small, fragile hope in my chest. That tomorrow would be a day of celebration. A day to look back on all we'd survived and forward to all we'd yet to build. I didn't know that tomorrow would be the day I'd discover that betrayal, like a crack in a foundation, never truly goes away. It just waits for the right moment to bring the whole house down. In the week leading up to our anniversary, something about Camilla shifted, in small but sharp ways, like hairline fractures in a polished surface, barely noticeable at first, but capable of breaking everything apart. I noticed it in the way she'd answer her phone in the hallway, voice low, eyes flickering toward me, as though she was weighing whether to let me in or keep me out. She'd end the call with a clipped laugh, and when I'd ask who it was, she'd say, "Oh, just work," or "a contractor." But I'd seen her face when she talked to contractors. Calm, professional, never evasive. This was something different. I tried to brush it off. We were both busy. I had deadlines for a new community center design, and she was preparing a big pitch for a historic renovation downtown. But doubt crept in, like rot beneath the surface of our marriage. And it only took a small push for me to see just how deep it had burrowed. One night, 3 days before our anniversary, we had dinner at home, just the two of us. She'd made her signature lemon chicken, the one dish she always used to remind me of why we worked as a team. Watched her across the table, the way she kept glancing at her phone, fingers drumming a silent rhythm. I asked her if everything was okay. She looked up, startled, like I'd caught her in a lie. "Of course," she said, too quickly. "Why wouldn't it be?" I shrugged, trying to keep my voice level. "You've just been distant, I guess. Ever since—" She put her fork down. "Ever since what, Kieran?" I sighed. "Ever since you mentioned Silas." Her jaw tightened. She took a sip of water before answering. "I told you I wouldn't let him near us, okay?" I meant that. But the way she said it felt rehearsed, like she'd said it too many times in her head before letting it slip from her lips. I let it drop, but my gut wouldn't. 2 days later, we had dinner with some mutual friends, a couple we'd known since college, Harper and Liam. We were at a cozy wine bar downtown. The kind of place where the servers memorized your name and the bartender knew your favorite drink. Camilla ordered her usual Chardonnay with a twist of lime. She made small talk about Liam's latest project. Then, halfway through the evening, she dropped it again. "We all need to let go of grudges, you know," she said, eyes fixed on the flickering candle in the middle of the table. "Holding on to anger just poisons you." Harper, always the peacemaker, nodded vigorously. "So true. It's the healthiest thing, really." Liam glanced at me, his brow furrowed, like he could feel the tension radiating off me. I forced a smile. "Yeah," I said, voice tight. "Sure," but my mind was a mile away, back in that conference room where Silas's betrayal had detonated my career, my confidence, my entire sense of who I was. Poison. I'd swallowed enough of that to last a lifetime. I caught Camilla's gaze. Her eyes were too bright, her smile too quick.